Ladies and gentlemen, from all over the globe, very good evening to you all. Welcome to the BotTalk Artificial Intelligence session number 3. We have a great panel of speakers today with us, but before we start our discussions, our speakers to start, let's start with the address from our chief guest. Our chief guest today needs no introduction. His Excellency Sheikh Ali bin Abdurrahman Al Khalifa. He is the Deputy CEO of Resources and Information Affairs at Bahrain Polytechnic in Bahrain. And he's also the chairman of Khalid bin Hamad Competition for Innovation in Artificial Intelligence. I welcome His Excellency to start the session with his kind address. Your Excellency, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening. Your Excellency Ali bin Saleh Saleh, Chairman of the Shura Council, respected members of the Council of Representatives, respected members of the Shura Council, and honored participants. First of all, let me express my sincere appreciation for having me as part of your conference held under the patronage of His Excellency Ali bin Saleh Saleh, Chairman of the Shura Council. It is an honor to be here with you all. The subject of artificial intelligence has been an important matter throughout the years, but has become even more important during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I believe, as a community, it is important that we explore case studies and find various solutions together as we navigate through these circumstances by effectively using artificial intelligence. Before I begin, Bahrain has led many initiatives related to artificial intelligence, and under the wise leadership of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, the Kingdom's vision has always supported strengthening the role of Bahrain as a supportive country for the implementation of sustainable development goals in the scientific field. This was echoed in His Majesty's speech during the 5th legislative term of the Shura and Representatives Councils, where His Majesty stressed on the Kingdom's technical readiness that qualifies to directly focus on improving its digital economy and artificial intelligence capabilities. And we at the Polytechnic view His Majesty's directions to enable our institution to prioritize AI in our corporate and academic strategies. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected and disrupted several industries in the world, such as banking, health sectors, educational institutions, and many more. This pandemic has made it very clear that we have to adopt these technologies, such as AI, in our business operations at a very short period of time. So where does this lead us in terms of academia? As a higher education institutions, we are entrusted with the responsibility to educate our community and to keep them in line with the latest trends of the labor market. According to a report published by the Economic Development Board of Bahrain in 2018, 42% of Bahraini companies believe that their information communication technology team requires advanced training in business intelligence. 10 companies sought after digital skills, including business intelligence, automation, data science, AI, and machine learning. Around 70% of companies prioritize people with professional experience rather than academic qualifications when hiring for an AI role, highlighting the emerging trend for professional certification acquisition. So in response to the rapid changes that are happening, we recognize the necessity of delivering content related to AI, not only to our students, but the community as well. After all, Bahrain Polytechnic's mission is to produce work-ready graduates which have the latest skills to meet the labor market requirements. This is where we successfully established the AI Academy at our campus. This academy is focused on providing a platform to enhance innovation and creativity capabilities of the youth in the field of artificial intelligence, with a focus on providing ethical AI professional resources to meet the market expectations with the required skills. The inauguration of the academy follows the directives of His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa, First Deputy President of the Supreme Council for Youth and Sports and Chairman of the Olympic Committee, instructing to accelerate academic specializations that are related to artificial intelligence in the educational system of the Kingdom of Bahrain. In collaboration with Microsoft and Temkeen as partners, this academy is the first of its kind to be established in the region and the Middle East. And the Polytechnic is proud to say that we are currently in the process of starting with our first batch of students this year. And it couldn't have come at a better time given today's situation with the pandemic. Of course, another initiative that we have conducted to encourage creativity in the field was establishing the Khalid bin Hamad competition for innovation in artificial intelligence, which we have hosted for the past 2 years under the patronage of His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad Al Khalifa. The competition is targeted towards high schools, universities, and tests the participants' abilities on creating innovative projects. Finally, with every technological advancement, there are ethical implications that need to be considered. While AI is becoming more and more powerful, we need to regulate it and make sure that it is used in an ethical way, thereby benefiting both society and the business community. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency Sheikh Ali, for the motivational and insightful address and the numbers, statistics you have shared, and the initiative which are undertaken in Bahrain, and the role played by the Bahrain Polytechnic in terms of AI, and the graduates and the quality of the graduates in terms of AI is commendable. Thank you very much, Excellency, for your kind address. Now, moving forward, let me invite the chairman of this event, Dr. Justinhaji, to address the audience. Dr. Justinhaji, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Khalid. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Masā al-Khair. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our third sessions of the month of artificial intelligence, or the summer of artificial intelligence, BotTalk. Again, as His Excellency said, first, we are privileged to have His Excellency Ali bin Saleh Saleh, Chairman of Shura Council, for the second year to take our conferences under his patronage. Last year we held it in a hotel, this year virtual, but I believe there will be more virtuals than physicals. I also thank last week's key speaker, His Excellency Abdul Nabi Salman, First Deputy Chairman of Representative Councils, and today's Chief Guest Speaker, His Excellency Sheikh Ali bin Abdurrahman Al Khalifa, who has been one of the pioneers actually in the artificial intelligence, not only in Polytechnic and His Highness Sheikh Khalid's competition, but also an encouragement to fellow students, academies, and us professionals. I will not take much of your time, but I would like to point on one item that His Excellency also mentioned about the ethics of artificial intelligence and the policies and regulations. Now, people have a perception that implementing artificial intelligence and robots is a one-phase implementation, where we get deceived by smaller developing companies implementing a showcase of artificial intelligence that only lasts for weeks and has no strategies along the long ride. I believe artificial intelligence is a journey, is a strategy that we need to plan along with the business and have a long-term plan to have the scalability and empowerment to increase and gradually take over many routine jobs. I will leave the details to the expertise of today's panels, the previous ones, and of course we have another one next week, but I'm sure we will be also continuing with such initiative. Thank you once again for joining us, and the floor is back to you, Khalid.
Thank you very much, Dr. Johnson, for your address. Now it's time to start inviting our speakers one by one. But before we start our speakers, let me inform the audience that we have a chat session in which you can post all your questions, and we'll be taking all your questions towards the end when we'll bring all the speakers as a panel, and they will be going through the questions and they will be providing the answer. In case the time will not be, if not enough, then we will be taking all the questions still, and we will be contacting all of you one by one by email or any other source. If you share your information with us, how we can contact you and make sure that all your questions are answered, because all your questions are important to us as well. Now, moving forward in our agenda, let me invite our first speaker. Our first speaker, he is the head of digital transformation and project management at the Bahrain Institute of Banking and Finance, one of the oldest institutions in Bahrain. He's an inspiring regional keynote speaker, and he is a board member as well of Envita BPO. His experience covers financial industries like Gulf Finance House. He worked for Capevest and National Bank of Bahrain, and he also headed the e-marketing role for a major Canadian law firm in Canada. He will be telling us the future of us, humans versus robots. Humans versus robots. Mr. Ahmed Naimi, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khalid. I'll just share the screen. Okay, perfect. Great. So I'll just adjust a few things. Thank you very much for having me today. I would like to start actually by thanking the Artificial Intelligence Society Bahrain for hosting such a great forum. And I would like to thank His Excellency Sheikh Ali and Dr. Justinhaji for the opening speeches today. Without further ado, let me get into the subject that I want to talk about today. I may not dwell into too much detail. It's just going to be some basis of telling you about, the title is The Future of Us, Humans versus Robots, which is basically just talking about the future job market and how automation is impacting that job market for us. So I'll start by this quote: "The world is changing very fast. Big will not beat small anymore. It will be the fast beating the slow." To start, let me explain the 3 career timelines and link it with the topic that we have today. As you can see from the first career timeline, the first career timeline, careers were stable, linear, and singular for most individuals in the past. The career equated to an educational degree to some extent throughout the individual life, and individuals did not focus on additional training. However, this generation of individuals, were are being affected the most with the current technological advancement. They are called the digital immigrants. They are basically called as Generation X, if I may say. The second timeline, if I move to it, it has some career stability, yet the individual goes to study further and may change career a few times and gets reskilled. These individuals have come during a time of technological change. They are sophisticated technology-wise and they use gadgets. These individuals are called the digital natives. Adoption of technology and reskilling is much, much easier for them than digital migrants. Mostly they are Generation Y. The third and the last timeline that I want to actually explain is basically it's fragmented, as you can see. It's all over the place. They tend to look at projects, different jobs. They change, they jump around more until they feel content about what they do. The careers in this timeline are complex, specialized, and collaborative and evolving. The work life is made up of portfolio of micro careers. They are the technoholics, or let's call them the digital integrators. Makes it easier. Digital integrators. They basically integrate technology seamlessly into their lives and use it from a very, very young age. It's almost like the air that they breathe. They use it almost in all areas of their lifetime and relationships. This generation are the easiest to reskill for tomorrow's job market, and I'll explain why at a later stage. Now let's look at this slide. It's basically listing 4 jobs. Okay, so drone operator, driverless car engineer, social media content curator, and cloud computer specialist. Just want you to take a moment to just go over that and understand what do they have in common. What are the elements that are that those jobs have in common? Of course, I know this is a one-way. It's not engaging, but have a thought of it just for a second. I'm actually going to move on just for the sake of time. So basically, these jobs did not exist in the past 10 years. So 10 years ago, these jobs were nowhere to be found. And it raises a major challenge for the digital immigrants. Digital immigrants, it's very difficult for them to actually change their behaviors, change their skills in order for them to actually meet the current requirements of the job market, like a drone operator or so on. They are technical in nature. But also, not only that, another element is also that we can find in common, which is basically technology. Technology, digital natives and digital integrators, they're very easily getting on board with these technologies. They can adapt, they can change their skills, and they can actually go forward from there. So as technology, as a breakthrough in technology rapidly shifts the border between the work tasks performed by humans and those performed by machines and algorithms, the global labor market are undergoing major transformations, and we are seeing it day to day. Every day we're seeing it. Actually, nowadays with the COVID-19 pandemic, we are seeing it more than any time before. Digital transformation has shifted organizations to a new style of work. We have accepted things that were previously we were not actually accepting. The transformation, if managed wisely, could lead to a new age of good work, good jobs, and improved quality of life for all. But if managed poorly, pose a major risk for us on widening the skill gaps and a greater inequality. Artificial intelligence, in that perspective, is currently at the forefront of these techs. These technologies have AI at its forefront, which is considered to be one of the most promising pillars of the technologies powering the future. The practice of AI is skyrocketing, whether it's being used for fun, business, governance, and military purposes. The World Economic Forum report lists it as one of the top 4 global drivers of change. These are the 4 global drivers of change: high-speed mobile internet, artificial intelligence, widespread adoption of big data analytics, and cloud technology. They are set to dominate the 2018 up until 2022 period as a positive drivers affecting business growth. So let's look at this graph as well. I'm actually moving into a bit statistics and numbers. This graph, looking at this graph and how organizations feel about the whole automation scene and the introduction of artificial intelligence at the workplace. From the global survey of WEF, about 25% of companies expect automation to lead to the creation of new roles in the organization. So basically, you're going to have that new names and new bells and whistles, all those new roles that are coming up. Around 25% new roles are coming up by 2022. And also 40% of that job market will be shifted to roles, will shift the roles to new productivity enhancing roles. So basically, the roles that we currently have may be changed to new roles. And about 50% expect that automation will lead to some reduction in their full-time workforce by 2022. This is another look as well. It's on how automation and the advancement of AI is making nearly a quarter of today's jobs redundant. So there are a quarter of the current jobs that we have are going to be redundant, and people are going to lose their jobs due to that, the automation aspect. However, it's going to be replaced by another set of new jobs and roles. 50% of the roles, based on the study from World Economic Forum, will remain the same, and maybe minor changes here and there. This is basically the list of the stable roles. So whoever is with us, managing directors, CEOs, you're on the safe side. Sales and marketing professionals, human resource specialists, you're on the safe side. So these are stable roles that are required for the job market of the future as well. However, 75 million jobs are actually going to be lost by 2022 in these areas. So data entry clerks, talking about accountants, talking about lawyers, talking about telemarketers, they're actually going to be redundant. They're going to be replaced by automation. However, that's not completely bad. 75 million jobs are going to be lost, yet it's 133 million jobs are actually going to be, it's going to be replaced by 133 million jobs. And these are the new roles. If you read through them, I'm not going to go one by one, but 70 to 80% of those roles are all technology based. This is another look in terms of basically 2013 to 2017 hiring trends. If you see software engineers is on the high, most demanded end, yet the accounting is on the bottom and lower demand aspect. So basically, these are being automated. Artificial intelligence is taking over these functions, but yet they are creating other functions on the other hand. These are some of the emerging job roles I found actually for the MENA region that is actually emerging a lot, like software and application development, and we can see it in Bahrain. And as His Excellency Sheikh Ali just mentioned earlier, that establishing an AI academy, and we are actually requiring such talents as software developers, data analysts, and whatnot. Jobs and opportunities. Small research on the internet, I found over 200,000 jobs related to new titles, but all related to technology. So in AI, that was about a few months back that I did this research. So we have 10,000 jobs, available jobs as we speak. Machine learning scientist, AI engineer, intelligence analyst, automation solution engineer. And the beauty about it is that when I did this research nowadays, it actually nearly doubled because of the pandemic. So it just pushed the digital transformation, pushed the AI implementations at a much faster pace. So what shall I do? This is the question that we all want to ask. What shall I do? The new labor market taking shape in the wake of this AI revolution holds, of course, as we all know, challenges and opportunities as highlighted earlier. So to conclude my session, I don't want to dwell so much into that. I would like to highlight some takeaways. What shall you do during this age of technological advancement and AI revolution? 4 elements that I actually found quite interesting that we should look at closely for the coming period. an upgraded education, focus on reskilling, improve on the organizational skills, and be emotionally intelligent, basically. Have a creative and innovative mindset with an agile perspective. The skills continuing to grow by 2022 include analytical thinking and innovation, as well as active learning and learning, building learning strategies. So proficiency in new technology is only one part of the 2022 skills equation. However, skills such as creativity, critical thinking, persuasion, negotiation will likewise retain or increase their value. As well, attention to detail, flexibility, and complex problem solving. These are the human elements that a robot or AI will not be able to replicate or will not be able to imitate. As much as technology is advancing, as much as we would love to have those automation aspects for these elements, it's actually quite difficult to replicate that. Emotional intelligence, another aspect, leadership, social influence are other areas to be on the rise in need as well. So saying this, there is definitely an unquestionable need to take personal responsibility for one's own lifelong learning and career development. So basically, if you do not apply what I've mentioned before in terms of the skills, more or less this is actually what's going to happen. You're going to be kicked out from your workplace and replaced by an automated bot. That's if you are just sticking to the routine work that you're doing and just not evolving with technology or what it's required for the job market. And that's what actually we are seeing also here from the BIBF and with all the financial sector and all with the fintech, with the rise of fintech, AI, blockchain that is coming on board. I would like to leave you again with the quote. So remember, the world is changing very fast. Big will not beat small anymore. It will be the fast beating the slow. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. I was just thinking and was so interested to see that my role of moderator is not in your list. I was a bit relaxed that my job is secure, at least for as long as the events are ongoing. Now, let me get my slides back. Okay, so our next speaker. Our next speaker, what to say about him? He is an encyclopedia by himself when it comes to the knowledge. He is a business transformation expert. He gives advices to organizations and startups. He worked almost in all sectors in Bahrain, be it oil and gas, financial sector, advisory, consultancy and audit, commerce and tourism. And now he's busy with his own business, which he has launched for online healthcare business and business incubation center in Bahrain. He'll be talking about how AI helps accelerating the food transformation during the pandemic period. Food transformation during the pandemic period, Dr. Mohammed Nas. So Mohammed Nas, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. How can I get the screen up? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Is the screen up now?
Yes, can you run the show?
Yeah. Okay. Just okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very honored to be here now with you guys to talk about the food sector and its ability to, with AI being a center point of the whole game. Okay, the current global food system, modern food industry with open borders are essential. They are very important. That's how we see it. That's how we're used to it. Raw materials are sourced from halfway around the globe. Food processing factories, farm laborers, logistics, planes fly fresh food from one point to another, from one country to another. So it's, we had a very good time. Meals, for example, in the United States, travel about 1,500 miles and so on from the Far East to the Middle East. We had a good time. We were never worried about, shortage of food. Having managed a food sector, an important food sector like Bahrain Flour Mill, we never had a supply issue. Now, with COVID-19 in our arena, we've seen closing of borders, shortages of truck driver. We've seen every country nearly now in the news about the migrant workers, lockdown, out of homes, food delivery channels, okay, food orders, and so on. Restaurants are closed. So we've seen a complete revolution, a 360-degree revolution when it comes to the food sector. And of course, food is an important element that we have to, bear with. So what are the challenges? For the business, we've seen decreased sales, the inability to travel, workforce issues, and, project being delayed. So all of that was due to the pandemic. These are very important sectors that we have affected the business as it goes. Now, what do we need? That's where an AI can have a role. We have seen technology coming in, the work, taken over, remote seminars, remote meetings, and so on, taken over. And we've seen this technology changes all over. So this is the case study where AI now in a place in the food sector to improve the food safety compliance. I've used this as a case study where it has 200 restaurants. It can monitor the individuals, cameras in the kitchen, and of course, all object recognition, whether it's food and so on. That gives the customer a comfort. Now, he cannot be in the restaurant, they cannot be anywhere. So, artificial intelligence, everybody talks about. I mean, Ahmed, thankfully, talked about job and job market and so on. But in the food sector, it's expected to register as, it's an important intelligence. Things that we cannot see, things that we cannot be near to. That's where AI comes in and does a contribution. I'm not talking about job losses and so on, but I'm talking about where the food sector. So that's for the professional. We're going to see an increase of 65.3%. And Sheikh Ahmed, rightfully stated that the AI Academy in the Polytechnic will be an important factor. So the way forward, how do we see it? I don't want to make it long for you guys. Changes in consumer demand towards affordable and easily accessible food options. That's after the pandemic. Market leaders, they will advanced technology such as artificial intelligence. They will need it. Machine learning, scale operation. Emerging technology of AI will help increasingly help the food and beverage companies with the supply chain management, logistics, predictive analytics, and also transparency. Everybody can see it. Organizations are rapidly digitizing their supply chain. So that's really those who are in the food sector, they have to spend, investment because it will reap the benefit, which improve the efficiency across the supply chain. Supply chains are generating massive amount of data where AI help organizers to analyze this data and show trend. So it's no longer by chance and so on. These are the important factors that will be affected. Of course, when it comes to the job market, people have to be ready for it. So what Ahmed stated, not only in the financial sector, but in the postal sector. So in conclusion, artificial intelligence will make it possible of making intelligent machines and work to react like humans. Aim is to teach the machine how to think, especially when it comes to the food. Till now, machines have been doing what they were told to. We're going to expect that they will have more. AI machine will think and behave like a human being. So selecting food, selecting taste and smell and so on. Food processing industry is leveraging AI very heavily. So we're going to see various offering, optimizing operation and delivering better customer experience. I leave you with these and thank you very much for listening.
Food is essential for our living, no doubt about it. The transformation in food industry is no doubt very crucial with the change of time and especially in the pandemic situation we are in. Let me get the slide up. For some reason it has disappeared. Okay. Now calling our third speaker. A third speaker is an architect by profession. Is also project manager with 20+ years of experience. Is passionate about spreading awareness about the environment and material resource management professional. He supports a lot of NGOs in Bahrain, like the Clean Up Bahrain and Bahrain Diving Volunteer Team. He's sharing tips with us today as how AI may help the material resource management during the crisis time. Material resource management during crisis time, Mr. Kai Maithing. Kai Maithing, the floor is all yours.
Okay. You can see the screen?
As you can see,
Everything.
if you can maximize it, please.
Yeah. Now it's on maximum.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. First of all, I like to thank everyone who was involved in the preparation of this BotTalk for the artificial intelligence. My regards to Sheikh Ali for being the patronage and the team around Dr. Yassim and Khalid for all the administrative work behind the scenes. So I will be talking about artificial intelligence for the material resource management during these crisis times. And the issue is that actually everyone is using on a daily basis the material resources. So as we are all human beings. One second. So what does material resource management mean? Material resource management is a core supply, demand, and usability, which includes all the supply material and the chain planning, the chain execution, performance, and supply remaining resource evaluation. Which means whenever I want to create something, I need to see what is my idea, what kind of material I need, what kind of logistics, the cost, who are all involved till they have the final product. And material resource management is actually a word that gives different kind of material a better value rather than at the end of the chains that we're talking about the waste management. One second. Okay. So what role does AI play in this chain of production? We have got the new AI-powered technology, which helps everyone actually on the different kind of work in the material resource management. Starting from the optimization of the design, where we know it obviously from the, for example, the car design industry, where they have the CV value to have less wind resistant or air resistance. So this is one key factor as well. And then obviously throughout the whole process that we have really an optimized usage of the material and as well time-wise, so we can ensure that the finished product has really the value, and whatever is at the later stage after the use of the product, we can have even a knowledge about the value, which is in general what the people call as waste, but for a lot of companies the so-called waste of the human beings has still a big value. So what does crisis time means for material resource management? During crisis times, as Dr. Nas said before, there is a blockage, there is no really open borders, so we need to consider whatever we have with this restriction to be efficiently used. So this material, which then has a kind of basic stock, so material resource management must ensure complying with the frame conditions and restrictions during these crisis times. There was some things which were actually at the beginning, everybody was crying for their masks. So there was a restructuring within the business industry, which means that step by step locally produced masks were sold rather than importing it from outside, because the demand was so high and it could not cross the border. So this was one typical issue happening during the crisis time. So how to achieve efficient material resource usage with AI? To ensure the efficiency, it can be achieved with using the latest AI technology during the various processes of the development of a product. So which means whenever, as I said, you have an idea, you can define it and you can use artificial intelligence to save these information in a blockchain. So it will help you as well in the future, once you created this database, to resource the right material, most likely then in the crisis times locally rather than shipping it around the world. And as Dr. Nas said, now a meal in the US travels 1,500 miles. If we talk about Bahrain, this would be enormous. So here we need to resource as well locally and trying to be more and more efficient to have it really on an optimum level. And then as well, this value need to be recorded so we can have it in the future as a data. And as Mr. Ahmed said, data analysts will be as well some point very important in the future, because once with the help of AI, you create these kind of value and information, so you can use it as well in the future, even after the product is expired and there is still a value behind it. Here as a sample, the whole process of actually any kind of product, be it food, a car, or whatever, actually you will start with the idea, then the design, you're choosing the material, the procurement process, then of course production, then at the end you have got the final product. You need to know where you will sell it, then the transport and the logistics obviously is important. After the usage, then the right disposal, and obviously then a kind of circle of recycling or upcycling or reusing can start again. So it's important that once an engineer or a product designer has an idea, he needs to as well save the information via either barcode or the QR code, which is now the latest technology, into the AI blockchain, which then helps as well to create a certain database. And we all know when we buy a bottle of water, for example, you will see already the barcode with the pricing and these things, but just we need to add more information, which kind of material is used in the process, how much value is there behind this one, how much is the weight of this material. So all these things could be still saved with a barcode system or QR code system in this artificial intelligence database. And then, of course, when it comes to the design, the people need to think that, okay, how we will create something which can be easily in the future maintain the value. So, for example, a Tetra Pak is a good usability, but later on, after usage, it becomes actually useless because it cannot be recycled. It has only the possibility to be burned, so it still has some value for waste to energy. But nevertheless, the designer need to ensure that you can as well easily disassemble the material to create or keep the value high. And as I said, the different kind of types of material as well, we need to resource it locally or with more efficiency rather than shipping things from far away to produce something locally, or ordering something from far away and delivering it to a certain time or location, which then is again another carbon footprint, another cost implementation. So all these things need to be then considered, and again, all this need to be related and saved in the database in order to later on have the artificial intelligence to create the value of the material. Same applies with the procurement, which means wherever you resource a different kind of material from, different kind of price ranges where it's maybe cheaper, so then maybe the logistic is more costly. So all this information, as said, can be saved in this database through the QR or barcode. Then same applies for the production. Production needs to have as well certain facilities. Either the production is completely assembly locally or partially outside, wherever it's most efficient. So this will help definitely later on in keeping the value and as well having an idea about the cost of the product itself. And as said, at the end, when we want to do having a complete new product or the finished product, then it will define as well the cost, which nowadays mainly is happening kind of manual rather than with digital analyzing of the material procurement and the product production. Then nowadays as well, sales is enhanced through social media. Google is very famous for this one, using artificial intelligence to advertise a different kind of products as well on different kind of platforms. So hence artificial intelligence will help the sales to register where is the best opportunity and where is the biggest customer base. So all this could be implemented as well in this chain for the material resource management. Then one further step is obviously logistic. Where are your customers? Because right now we can send data anywhere in the world, which is not a problem, but physically the products need to be delivered. And then it applies obviously that a container should be not half loaded or quarter loaded. So as well, efficiency plays a big role in order to maintain very efficiency in the logistic and transportation sector. And all these data is very important to maintain and keep it track record. So at least later on for the evaluation, it will be easy to evaluate the value of the product once it's done. Then mainly people throwing products because they don't have any more value for them, which is obviously a big issue, because some products for us, for example, or what normal human being has no value, an empty bottle of plastic has no value, but at the end there is value behind it because there's still raw material available once it's properly disposed. And as mentioned earlier, in a plastic bottle with a barcode, could be integrated easily, that you put there, okay, this is 5 gram LDPE or 10 gram PET. So at least once it's disposed, the recycling companies, they will know already what is their value, what they get out of a stockyard when they come maybe for a bigger household or a complex or compound. Then they will know already how much is the value, what they are going to get if they collect all the material resources. And this, with all this information, obviously will lead then to a kind of circular economy, that from the day one or from the moment we start with an idea of the product, we step by step build up through artificial intelligence the knowledge on which kind of material and which kind of value is within the product once it's used, once it's for some user useless and so-called waste. So for us then it will have still a big value, because it can be used as a new resource material. Like a steel in Germany, for example, is 70 to 80% old scrap metal. And even the bottle industry in Germany, the glass industry, glass bottles, are up to 75 to 80% actually reused or recycled glass. So it has a big value, and of course then a big impact on the cost of a new product. So here again, the overall circle for any kind of product, may it be food, car production or whatever. So this circle applies actually to any product. And once we put as well for food products, for example, how much water you need for the watering, for the tomatoes, and the packing, all this, if this is collectively saved into AI and blockchain, it will help definitely to evaluate at the end what is the value after disposal. Thank you very much for your time, and back to you, Mr. Khalid. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me get the control. Okay. Before we go to our next speaker, let me remind our attendees that we have a section available for the question and answers. And if you have any questions, please post them over there, and then we can take all the questions with the time.
Hi.
Okay, I thought I have one of my screens, but I can't see it. Okay, our next speaker is a very well-known personality in Bahrain. He is a IT professional with experience in telecommunications and financial services. He specializes in financial payment services, risk management, and cybersecurity. Now, the entire world is practicing work from home, and with the risk of cyber threats definitely has increased, and everyone is concerned about it. So let's hear from the expert how cyber threats from work from home could be improved by artificial intelligence. Cyber threats from remote work by Mr. Jawad AlAwadhi. Jawad AlAwadhi, floor is all yours.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Khalid, for letting me in. Many thanks to his patronage. Just a minute.
Maximize the slideshow.
Maximize which one?
The slideshow, yeah, correct.
Okay, fine. Many thanks to his patronage, Mr. Ali Saleh Saleh, Chief of Shura Council, for sponsoring this event. Actually, I will not speak about too many theory and waste your time. As Mr. Ahmed mentioned in his speech, Dr. Ahmed from the IBF, that so many jobs are gonna to expire from the market soon. Many skills will not be required. This skill, the cybersecurity, and the need for cybersecurity is an increasing required job. So for those who are listening and starting their career building, it's a good place on IT to choose cybersecurity and start to put your efforts on. The issue of the pandemic has come very fast with people, they were unprepared. People were not prepared. Businesses are not ready for it. Users are not used for the remote environment. The hackers and attackers are always waiting to get an opening to get into our systems, our databases, and to exploit anything. And the bottom line and the biggest issue is that IT support teams are always overwhelmed with internal firefighting, provisioning resources, dealing with issues from the management, and so on. So they are not ready to provide the environment that we need for a secure work. Most of the arguments that I can see during the past few months that most of the companies are not ready when the boundaries suddenly expanded to be working from home. The internal decisions, the access control, the security considerations are not anymore an internal information security or IT team's decision. It comes from the top without a preparation, suddenly to go and offer remote access with whatever available tool, whatever you can provide. That sudden expansion has given a huge opportunity for hackers, attackers to start to collect information, and they are collecting it today. Don't worry. Most of the organizations are being monitored now. Don't underestimate that your data is being leaked, your users are being hacked without they know. So everyone be ready to do at least a small audit check, which I will present to you a quick steps at the end of this presentation. Again, the argument is coming on which one we trade for the other. Is it security? Is it safety? Is it privacy? It's a tough question for every information security, every IT, every CEO, every minister, every deputy minister, and everyone in decision making cannot trade one for the other, either to be safe or to be secure or to hold your privacy. These are all arguments with information security while you are working remotely and exposing the company data and your ministry data all out. The other argument, do we provide detection or prevention? And it's a very big issue. that always being asked for IT professionals. Do we prevent attackers? Do we prevent attackers or just detect them and then take decisions for them? And I heard many arguments that if we activate the prevention to do auto prevention and prevent the suspected people from getting into the remote environment, we might prevent our CEO or our minister from remote connectivity. And the answer is do it. If you don't do your job well and prepare the environment for your minister, for your CEO, then don't blame his environment or his PC or his laptop. It's better to stop the CEO or the minister from accessing sensitive information rather than blaming yourself that he might not get the access. He will not blame you for that, but he will blame you if you get your data leakage because you allowed him to do something not his job, it's your job. What are our repeated questions that we get during this pandemic issues? Can you stop the remote access? Of course, no. Can you control remote access? It depends. It depends on how you will provide remote access to your users. Okay? Can you limit users' remote access? Again, it depends. It depends on what kind of access you will give them and which data, which systems, what applications you will provide them access to. How you can protect assets. Accessing your system and you don't know they are accessed, which is how you can protect somebody's mobile or somebody's PC at home and you don't know what he is doing with it. How you can protect it? It's a nightmare. It's not an easy answer. Okay? How you can ensure the security of your enterprise when you have all those unprotected assets, unprotected devices connected to your system. Again, it's a nightmare and you have to move during the steps quickly and don't go as a turtle. Just a quick answer to the previous slide. What are the different solutions types for remote access that are available today in the market? The different available solutions are very more than even what's being listed here on this slide. It might be your data on the cloud, outside your enterprise. It might be some applications hosted in your cloud, outside the enterprise. It might be your data oral in-house, but you are giving your employees, your management, a VPN remote access. It's again might be data in your house within your perimeters, but you are using abridged remote access solutions, which are available heavily these days, and people are using them. And here, a quick things to say. What is the worst solution, that the worst thing that is happening today? People, even top professionals in many organizations, are using their personal Gmail account, Microsoft account, iCloud account, etc., to exchange data and to host data outside of their enterprise environment. Again, I'm saying this is the worst solution. This is the worst way that you can do today to share data and to expose yourself. Okay, pay little money for some of those solutions that give you much more controlled security rather than using generic accounts. My quick takeaway here for all of you, and I'm sure as I have talked to so many IT professionals and information security professionals during the past months, that have you reviewed your remote access logs? Have you reviewed all of your users that are hitting your environment remotely, getting into your data, getting into your applications, getting into your system? The answer I was getting absolutely no. No one has answered me that yes, we have reviewed our remote access log. What I'm explaining here is something that it's built in within AI that cybersecurity is doing every day. It is built in, the tools are available with AI built on it. You just need to capture your data, your logs, formalize those logs data into a readable format, put it in those applications, and start to review your remote access logs using AI. AI is something today built into cybersecurity. It's not something foreign. As Dr. Ahmed said in the beginning, there are migrants and there are natives. Cybersecurity is dealing with AI as native. It is something that it is using on daily basis and it's consuming very fast. Security always at the head, ahead of everybody, ahead of everyone, ahead of every technology and enterprise to utilize the intelligence on applications into systems. This slide will be provided at the end of this presentation on the distribution material to you, so at least many of you to go and do a review for your remote access logs. Trust me, attackers are already collected your information and you will find that they will find a way to get into your system. Thank you very much. Okay, Khalid, the control is yours.
Thank you very much. Now it's time to go through the question and answer session. May I request all our speakers to turn on the cameras and let's answer the questions given by the audience. All turn on your cameras. Okay, so let's get the questions going. I have so many questions received by the audience, and some of them with names and some of them the directly asked, so anyone can answer. So the questions, I'll take them. The first question is for Mr. Ahmed. Question says, do you see the current curriculum or the programs conducted by the BIBF, are they having any AI knowledge as well? How do you see our future job market if the education is not covering the AI?
Actually, in terms of the BIBF, we are actually constantly reviewing all the curriculums and embedding the digital aspect to it. That being said, literally we're looking at every area that we actually deliver a program. Say we've started the Digital Transformation Center, which is working with different centers in the organization so that we enhance the curriculum. So basically, the accounting division, we are having basically digital accounting being introduced. We're having digital leadership, digital supply chain, digital project management. So we're looking at every angle of all those curriculums that we deliver, and we are embedding that digital element to it. Nowadays, like I actually initially said, it's very important, very crucial that each and every person has to understand these technologies and how they actually function, AI being at the forefront of all that. So when I say that, for example, one of the major questions that I keep on getting asked is, why are you saying that accounting is going to be literally obsolete? And I think even Kai wrote, or somebody wrote in the group a little while back, why do you think that accounting is being replaced? Well, this is based on not only what I say, it's globally, it's being written and said, accountants and auditors form the second highest in terms of risk. That comes after telemarketers, basically. So the advances in data science, artificial intelligence, they are opening up new ways to look at businesses and generate insights that can lead to major productivity improvements. Now, transactional roles like GLs, general ledgers, accounting receivable, payable, all that may be endangered, but other high-skilled roles like financial planning, analysis, business controlling would still be in high demand. And embedding digital to each and every element of that will only open up doors to many other opportunities. So yes, just back to the question you asked, yes, we are working on actually digitizing a lot of the programs that we have, embedding that digital element so that each and every person studying or taking a vocational training with us understands these technologies that are on board. We're actually conducting a lot of internship programs, a lot of graduate development programs, so that we bring even those young comers to the level that businesses require them nowadays in terms of artificial intelligence for the business use.
Thank you, Ahmed. It's very clear. Now, the next question, I think, is for Dr. Mohammed now, since it's talking about the manufacturing and you have manufacturing experience as well. Question is, how many manufacturing leaders use AI today in Bahrain and in GCC?
Interesting question. I mean, in every aspect, in the food business, of course, manufacturing, a lot use robotics in one way or another. Of course, that's not integrated and not announced, but most of the machines are one way or another, they are robotics. So I think that's going to increase even much more. I mean, if we are at 10% now, that's going to go up to 60–70% in the coming 2 to 3 years.
Thank you. Question is, I think Ahmed is for you again. Since your slide, you mentioned that 25% of the employment jobs will be redundant. You're saying, are we ready to transform ourselves or get all the knowledges within the time so that people learn how to scale up themselves, not to be redundant?
Actually, it's quite interesting question because I came across that in the report, the World Economic Forum actually report does highlight that element. So basically, let's say the average reskilling needs for the MENA region, for the Middle East and North Africa. I'm just pulling out the report. Just 1 second. The average reskilling needs basically for the MENA region in order for you to actually reskill, and that's based on the study done on major companies in the Middle East. They say that less than 1 month, 12% of the workforce will require less than 1 month on reskilling themselves to get on the new job market. You have 13%, they require 1 to 3 months for them to actually get back on to the job market. You have 9% for 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and over 1 year. And 47% of the labor force will not require reskilling needs. So basically, currently in the MENA region, we have a good source of basically capabilities and tech capabilities that almost 50% of the labor force will not need reskilling. So the focus goes on the other 50%, and it will take on an average anywhere, the majority will take between 1 to over a year time for you to actually get that new skill on board. Does that answer the question?
Thank you very much. That's very clear to, I'm sure, to the audience. Question is for our security expert, Jawad AlAwadhi. Question is, with the advancements of AI applications and a lot of gadgets available, including IoT, where do you see the privacy of the individuals, how they can protect their privacy?
Actually, it's protected by law. At least in Bahrain, there is a law issued in 2019. I forgot the number of the law, but it's already issued by His Majesty the King Hamad, official law enforcing all organizations who deal with individuals collecting data to adhere to strict privacy rules. This is one side. The other side is the privacy of people are always in danger. Most of the organizations, especially who's working on the marketing side and who is doing data mining for people behavior and studying the purchasing power, the purchasing habits, always go against the privacy of people and collect so many private data. At least during this pandemic, so many applications appeared in the market to track people who has infection from the coronavirus, and there is a big project has been partnered between Google and Apple for the first time on its own to provide API for governments, for states, and for a big health service providers to put their data and track the infected people or the suspected infected people. And the European Union again issued its own privacy protection law immediately and without waiting for a long time, as usual for the law and legal. Thank you, Khalid.
Yeah, I think in Bahrain also we have the law, but if someone doesn't follow the law, that will be a risk still.
Exactly, it's a risk, yes. The problem is that the law is available. If somebody is caught, the Bahrain law has a very strict rules that goes for high penalty, imprisonment, so many consequences for those who are not adhering to the law. And even if it's a small organization without IT team, without cybersecurity, individual assigned to adhere and understand these things, the owner himself or herself will be responsible for the privacy of people. One of the easiest example is using the people SMS numbers to reach them for advertising. It's a breach of privacy.
Yeah, but that element, if I may just say, add to that, that's called the PDPL law, Personal Data Protection Law, basically. And to be honest, just as a personal case as well, since the application of that law, my SMS advertisement that I used to receive dropped literally by 80%, which is amazing.
It depends on people to report those cases and to make complaints to the authorities. The authority in Bahrain are very good in tracing those cases once they get the report. If people doesn't report it, authorities will not take action on it.
Right.
So it depends on us, the people, not only the expert or the law.
I agree. It's a case-to-case basis. People need to monitor and control and report it. Now I'll take the next question, and I hope that is the last question in the interest of the time. The question is to our speaker, to, Mr. Kai. Mr. Kai, the question is, you spoke about the supply chain overall. How do you see the new technology of blockchain and the 5G and 6G going to impact the supply chain with the introduction of AI?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, specifically once we step by step develop a faster internet, which you remember at the beginning you download a video, it took 1 hour and then you can watch it for 40 minutes. Nowadays you download it within 1 minute. And the issue is that the amount of data we need to create in order to evaluate all the processes will be tremendous. and I'm not sure, but it's like how many clicks and how many billion volume of data is created actually on a daily basis through upload, download, whatever process you are doing. So with this high speed of internet, 5G, and later on obviously 6G, it can be enhanced that directly at the beginning of a process you access the data, and then you will have the best overview and to evaluate what next step should be followed. So actually AI with the analytics and as well the blockchain to have secure data, not a kind of fake data or when you do fake surveys or these kind of things. So once this is all in place, obviously as well with the security Mr. AlAwadhi was recommending, that you have these things in place where you have directly access from each step and to evaluate the value. And this will help in the future to make even faster and be more efficient when it comes to any kind of production, and as well obviously which is currently as well a big new issue with the gloves and the mask as a waste. So the people will understand, okay, how we can reuse this information as a resource for future products, and obviously at the end to protect our life, health and environment.
Thank you, Guy. Very, very useful response you have given. One interesting question is related to the current time as well. I think that will be the last question, and then we'll wind up in the interest of the time, and then all the questions we'll get back to our audience by email. Some of them they have mentioned the email or contact number, and we get back to them. But this question is very interesting. Now, we all talking about the AI and how it's going to impact the job market and job redundancy. Someone is asking, in the current situation, in all over the world, companies are closing down, people are losing their jobs, technology is not improving, funds are not available. How do you expect people learn or get the opportunity to invest on AI in the organization and for the people? I'll go with
actually, to be honest with you, since the pandemic started, there has been a massive basically offerings and basically education institutes worldwide, whether it be at Harvard Business School, whether it's at BIBF locally, or many other institutes worldwide, that they have offered their programs, their courses, all free of charge. They have offered tons of resources of how you actually can reskill yourself in order for you to actually fit yourself into a different role. And if this pandemic started maybe around 6 months back or 5 months back, till date, if you've actually taken part of those reskilling needs or those programs, today you would have an element that is required by the job market nowadays. So yes, the pandemic pushed, like I said earlier in my presentation, the digital transformation. It fast forwarded it much faster than what we actually ever expected. But at the same time, it actually created a new roles in technology that is required nowadays for remote management, for many other elements, even like Mr. Jawad, what he mentioned, when it comes to cybersecurity and all. So yes, there are a lot of organizations that have offered a lot of programs, and I think they should actually take part and grab opportunities like that in order for them to actually reskill themselves.
One thing to add, Mr. Khalid, it has never been better than this time. It has never been better than this period to gain new skills. You are sitting at home, spending most of the time with your family and resting. That's for most of the people. And it won't be even better. So if you don't catch yourself right now at this moment, it's already gone for you. Go and utilize the time now, grab any skill, develop it remotely, and then apply for the job later on. Thank you.
It's good from your end. It's for the end user, it's good, but from my end, it's actually more work nowadays.
Good luck for you.
The view from Dr. Jassim. Well, just first of all, I want to thank everybody today, not only this session, but the previous two, and wish Ahmed and the team for next week best of the luck. We have the Next session is under the patronage of His Excellency Dr. Abdul Hussein Mirza. And it will be a new session. Actually, it's not the fourth session. It will be totally different dimensions of AI. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, our good partners who will continue till next week, who've been with us for the past 4 years, GEC Media and CIO Global, with the dynamo behind it, Mr. Tushar Sahu and Rick, who has been influential to making all the success behind the scenes. A lot of practice been done by all the speakers. They didn't just come in today. Khaled has been working behind the curtains as well. I would like to thank other partners, Unlimited Words, the local press here, Akhbar Khalij, Al Balad newspaper, Gulf Daily News, and looking forward to see everybody else next week. Thank you, Khaled.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
With this, we have come to end of our. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your time. With this, we have come to end of our session today, and see you all next week, 12th of July, with a new series of speakers and discussions and knowledge sharing. Thank you very much. Take care. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Thanks. Bye-bye.